Well, I was gonna. Is there anybody here who part of their job isn't touching a camera? Am I the only soul? Okay. So I'll be. I know it's very rare. In fact, we're the only station in Columbus that doesn't have one-man bands or whatever the name you want to use for it. Well, I'll be nice then. You guys don't all beat me up after we're done.
Sure. Punching bag.
Punching bag. I owe my Emmy to Jeff, okay? Let me warm everybody up. It's all the photographer's work. Obviously, we've talked a lot about, a lot about moments, a lot about characters, about this, I know a lot of people know the term gold coins, who use a lot in stories. And we've seen a lot of photo essays here today, or nat sound pieces. It's a lot, I think it can be a lot more challenging with two people, especially, you've got heads butt, you got different opinions, different ways to do things. Jeff and I have worked together for, what, 4 years?
Sure.
Off and on. Something like that. And time flies by when you're having fun. But I think over that time, we've had a chance to kind of get on the same page of a lot of things, where we can get into a car, regardless of the assignment, and kind of be right on the same page. It's not always that easy, but we're lucky that way. So we brought a couple pieces that, not any example of like our best work together, but we thought they all presented something that we could say, here's how we had to do this, here's how we worked that.
Talk about.
Yeah. And I have my cheat sheet, I'm not going to lie. Us reporters, we just read what's in front of us. We don't really know what we're talking about. I think the first one we're going to show, so I know you talked a lot about not wanting to be assigned stories. It's a fact of life, we're assigned stories from time to time.
But you also have to come up with your own. You have to pitch your own stories, and then you pitch the ones you want to do.
Absolutely. Does anybody know Red, White, and Boom in Columbus? All heard of that? Okay. Big deal. We do tons of stories on Red, White, and Boom. Every year we do at least one security story. So we had to go out and do a security story. And kind of roll your eyes at first, like, oh, how are we going to do a security story? And so I had heard of this this group that was kind of helping out Columbus Police. So we're just going to show you the story, and then we'll talk a little bit about what went into it afterwards, and some of the things that, one of the first things we're trying to do when we get in the car is, okay, maybe we're assigned a security story that we do every year, that we probably do a couple of times a year, but what can we do in this story together to make it a little bit different, to not make it, here's what the cops say, and the story you're going to see on, did he leave? Yes, okay, story you're going to see on Channel 6 and Channel 4 in Columbus, or anywhere else. So that's our goal. That's always our goal, so regardless of the story. So why don't we'll show you this real quick, and we'll talk about it.
Up a narrow set of stairs above Columbia Gas's 15th floor, where it's anything but easy to get to.
This is the worst set of steps.
Volunteers from amateur television in Central Ohio lug their gear, carrying it out onto the roof.
Just checking out the situation down there.
This is the view Columbus police officers are interested in. So Art Towsley sets up a security camera to help watch over the streets below.
They initially said that our cameras replace about 50 police officers.
The video signal is beamed back to CPD headquarters.
Just aim it over there and it should be all set.
Where officers keep an eye on what the cameras are capturing.
The cameras up here on top of Columbia Gas and AEP will give CPD a bird's eye view of all that's going on below. The tens of thousands of people that are expected to pack the streets for Red, White, and Boom. They hope those cameras will catch any wrongdoings before things get out of control, making it a safe and family-friendly event for everybody to attend.
We don't want anything bad to happen.
The group will also have a camera staring down from atop AEP. Police call the volunteer group's extra set of eyes a huge help during the massive event. Towsley says it's just their way of helping the public enjoy a safe Independence Day.
It feels very good. So we can avert a problem before it really gets too serious.
In downtown Columbus, Andy Hirsch, 10 TV News.
So a little bit different than the stories we had done in years past. We were lucky to find this group. Not the hardest story in the world, but actually led the 6 o'clock show that day because it was the day before the event. And some things that we did differently. When we got in the car, we talked about it.
We had new equipment. We had a GoPro cam. It just first came out. Played with that for a bit, and I had a small mini P2 camera that day because I knew we were going up some narrow sets of stairs and walking a good distance. So I think I left the tripod and the big camera in the car.
Yeah, and one of the first things I say, well, what can we do? And Jeff suggests, we've got different cameras we can use. you know, we're fortunate enough to have the helicopter to shoot that stand-up. I know not everybody has that advantage, and it was quick. You know, they weren't going to leave it up there all day for us, but it was nice that they did it. So, but when we get in the car, just like, well, let's grab this camera, and then we're talking about, okay, so we have the equipment. There's one way that we can make things look a little bit differently, but having it is one thing. Then talking out how are we going to use it is another thing. So we try to have something in mind prior to just getting there and saying, okay, let's just see what happens, because you're kind of caught off guard. And there are other little things, very subtle things in that piece, which some people probably gloss. There's the shot up the building is a time lapse piece where you see the clouds going by. I mean, it's a little thing, but I feel like little things make the difference. But that's something that I'm not afraid to say, hey, can we do this? And Jeff's not afraid to, when I'm writing, to say, hey, can you put this in here? Or I want to put this nap pop in there. Or
that's a stupid idea.
Right, and which I've heard plenty of times. Yeah, no, that's dumb. We're not going to do that. Actually, he's not that nice about it. But again, it's just the little things and being able to be on that same page beforehand. Now, again, I know Jeff and I have a good relationship where we can do that. I'm sure you've all worked with people you don't want to work with, whether it's another reporter. I know they're photographers. Not, they might be nice guys, but they don't have the same vision as you, or they just want to get in, get done. I think Ali was talking about, hey, it's 5:15. I want to go unload my gear and get out of here. Who, if I said, hey, can we use 4 cameras on that shoot? Can we use 4 cameras on this shoot? Get the hell out of the car. I want to work with somebody else today. Vice versa. So, but an example of how, again, a story that we do all the time, we made it a little bit different. I think the next one, what do we want to show the next one? The crime scene. This story was something that the management was excited about, but it had been done before. It's about crime scene cleanup crews, but they liked the idea. We had a few challenges going into it, but again, try to make it stand out from what other people had done. But they gave us a little bit more time to work on it. It was it was a sweeps piece, actually shot out in Indianapolis. One of the first challenges we had, and again, this is something that, as opposed to me thinking a typical reporter, okay, I'll figure this out and I'll just bring Jeff with us, because I know that's the attitude a lot of times. All right, Jeff, we're going to shoot the story. I said, hey, here's a story we're doing. What are some ideas we had? And instead of going into a victim's home, which is tough in the first place to get them to come in with a crime scene cleanup, because usually it's just a murder or suicide or something horrible just happened. We found this training facility who works in Columbus but out of Indianapolis. And so we'll show you this one and tell you some things that went our way. Or didn't, yeah.
When calls like that go out, emergency crews swarm the scene. But once medics are cleared, police gather the evidence they need, and the victim's body is removed. Someone else has to clean up what's left behind.
I think it comes as a big shock when everybody just walks away and they're just standing there going, bah, 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 left with that trauma scene. It's a horrific situation.
Got an extra knife.
It's those situations the technicians at Biotrauma 911 are called in to handle. Josh Elizondo and Steve Hanna suit up for all kinds of crime and trauma scene cleanups, murders, suicides, accidental deaths. But they try not to think about what brings them to a job.
If you get caught up in the drama of the situation, it's going to be extremely difficult to get the job done. This one's mine.
The company handles calls here in Central Ohio, but on this day they took us inside their training facility in Indianapolis to show us what it takes to clean up what is frankly a gruesome mess. Here they use animal blood to replicate the conditions they face. Still, some of the images are too graphic to show you at home. The two-man team starts by spraying down any signs of blood or other fluids.
It is ready to clean and disinfect any known human bacteria.
They slice through stained furniture, taking time to find the smallest spots of blood.
It's kind of a little bit of a scavenger hunt. You got to keep going.
Not even the hard-to-reach areas are left behind. Part carpenter, part chemist.
You can slowly see the white areas forming, which indicates that there is biomaterial there.
Anything contaminated goes into a biohazard bag and is properly disposed of.
While this is just animal blood, the technicians we talk with say it's about as close as you can get to an actual crime scene. They tell us the lessons they learn in here
prepare them for when they find themselves surrounded by the real thing.
It can be very traumatic. Several times, a lot of people cry. You know, what do? You're about to go in and clean up their loved ones, and you just got to kind of be as compassionate as you can without trying to absorb all of it and wind up going home and having those dreams and the nightmares.
A difficult job, but one they know has to be done for both the safety and the sanity of the people left behind.
I brought some normalcy back to someone in a bad situation. You know, you've kind of helped them get started on that path. You've taken away some reminders.
It's a job no one really thinks about nor wants to, but it's also a job that has to be done to bring people some closure and wash away some of the images of a traumatic event that likely changed their lives forever. Andy Hirsch, 10 TV News.
So again, it's a story that we've probably seen before. Our intention was, when we first set out to do it, was to find a victim, like I mentioned, and then we didn't really know what to expect here. It was a little bit different than we thought that once we got there. So there was some adjusting that we had to do. Obviously the gnats were there, and you know, one of the great things about, at least I know when we work together, and ideally as a team we work together, you know, we both get back and we both start logging. I mean, you know, I log the sound, I look at the video, I listen to the gnats, and Jeff does the same thing. So we both have an idea of what's going on. But when we get in the car, we both say, well, you know what? They were kind of interesting. I mean, I thought that the one cleanup guy who was talking about the nightmares and the things like that, say, well, you know, maybe we don't go the route of finding a victim. But then we still talked about, well, we still need something to make it a little bit different.
Yep. So we're talking about getting into it. So we thought of this idea of the stand-up where we would go to a crime scene, and then I would do the stand-up, pan it, and then just lock it down, and then wait, you know, get a little time lapse of some people disappearing, and then finally it's all clear. And we had weeks and weeks.
We were invested in, like Ali talked about, you know, it's not just that we wanted to get a story on the air. This is a story that we really wanted to do a good job with. And I got to tell you, there's somebody gets shot in East Columbus every night. So we thought this would be no problem. We needed a crime scene. We needed a crime scene to shoot this stand-up.
Shooting or standing, stabbing.
So, yeah, some kind of crime scene where there were a lot of cops. I mean, we waited 2 weeks, and it probably went 2 weeks without anything. I mean, we could not believe it, to the point where the whole package was edited, and we're saying, you know what, we're going to have to give up on that idea. It's just not going to work. Of course, the night before, on Jeff's birthday, he's out with his family and his kids, and I said, Jeff, we left work that night, don't worry about it. If something happens tonight, you're out with your family, you know, whatever. I get a phone call from the desk at like 8:30 at night. I call Jeff. He's on the 18th hole playing miniature golf with his kids. And I said, Jeff, I'm just calling you because I know you'd be mad if I didn't. And again, that's the kind of relationship that we formed. I know that I can call him as opposed to I can think of some guys I'd call again. They'd hang up on me, never call me again. You know, I don't want to hear about it. So we got out there, and you could probably tell from the stand-up, it was pretty rushed because we get there. We needed a scene, and then we needed cops to leave behind us to make, you know, we had talked about this the whole way back from Indianapolis. How could we make this work? And that was kind of the vision we had. It wasn't probably executed perfectly. We had some tricks too.
I wanted to get some of the crime scene tape in the, you know, the bottom third. But in order to do that, I had to get lower. So then he needed to be on his knees. And I had to shoot him just so you wouldn't be able to tell me he was on his knees, so I could pan off of him, go to the where I really wanted to get.
Which is kind of embarrassing. You know, you're at a crime scene, all these cops are around, and you know there are all these other reporters actually covering the story, like you know, from all the other stations and our station, and they're on my knees, like doing a stand-up. And people are like, "What the hell's wrong with this guy?" But it was a great idea. I mean, Jeff had a good vision. I said, "Okay, you know, let's go with it." And I think it worked out. And I think, again, it's just a little element that you put into the story that I think makes it just kind of separates it from something else you might see.
I was going to do this real quick. These are the basic things that I keep with me in my car at all times. Any idea what this is? This is your shot for when you want to get the gas thing going into that shot of the gas nozzle going into the actual thing of a car. So just take a Subway cup, you know, blacken it out, throw it in the back of the car. You're doing a gas story, which we all do gas stories. There you go. So just stick it right on the end of the camera, and then just get a gas thing coming right at you. So, anyways, everyone should get one of these. especially any type of MMJs, because yeah, you stick these anywhere. There's a camera. And then portable lights. You should always carry one of these because you never know if you need. A lot of these are just sitting around anymore, but then that way you can stick that light anywhere else. I don't know. Ask around because sometimes is this a WDTN on? Did I get that? And then I always keep all my story ideas. Like a lot of times Ali would say, well, you look for like this is just story idea after story idea, like. Guy cleaning windows, sky rises, break dancers, so newspaper clippings. I just keep them, and a lot of the stories that I showed you were just stories that were in newspapers. Waited a couple months later, then I would call them up and do them that way. And duct tape, of course, and then rain poncho. But this is the one thing that I found that really helps me out a lot was just getting a nice wide-angled lens. Really. Enhances, gets you a nice shot. I think I use it every day. And this one is actually, I would go to your news director or whoever gets the equipment and say how it really enhances the story. But I don't know if they're gonna, times are tough and with money and stuff. But it's something that I use all the time, and to the point where I actually went and got my own. But yeah, I use it all the time and just kind of pop it on, and then throw it in my pocket because it's not a zoom through, and then you take it off and be careful not drop it, and then screw it on. And anyways, I forgot to mention that. I wanted to throw that out there. So, Ali, do you have any closing words? No closing words. Thank you guys so much. Wrap things up. Thank you very much, Chris, for everything. Yeah, for WDTN hosting this. Yeah, that's asking a lot for you guys to take your Saturday, and all of you guys taking your Saturday to come listen to us. And remember, if you aren't involved with ONPA, please check it out. Anyone that doesn't know how to, please come see me, and I can help you get signed up. Or you can just go right to our website, and there's all the information there to get signed up.
Go to the website.
Yes, go to the website.
ONPA.org.
ONPA.org, yes, says the man in the back row. So, okay. Thanks, guys, again. Thank you for everybody speaking. Now, get out of here.